Okay, Fambulem. I bring warm greetings to owner from the TNN TV Media Empire. Today, the 29th of May, 2022. This now on a host and presenter, Prince Emiko Marikanto on a live. This is not just a short and brief one, and I mean 30 minutes, 45 minutes, no more than that. But as with the inch closer to elections, it's necessary for let we begin for prime with people for what is to come. And these are some of the reasons why we they come out with some of the programs they will come out with now. So let me just go straight to the point. So we title this particular program the malaise or the symptom where the malaise produce. The malaise, I believe, is a French word, and that French word they mean sickness. So within the sickness produce. And we all know within our symptoms, so we're not going to go into that. Okay, we are not going to go into that. Let me just try for quiet something down here quickly. Would you get some Lily back blast? Need for silent that quickly. Because like I see, we need for carry this program quickly. Quick one, maybe we may be having the DI executive director. Okay, I think we don't quite time. Okay, that's good. Mr. Abdul Fatoma, would they try for schedule for Monday? The 1st of June. What an ideal date. But we'll keep you informed. But with this one, let me see how they go before we time. Like I say, family, this is serious. We don't arrive at elections date and elections. Now the term where the people from whom every government derived them power from, according to the Constitution of the Republic. The government will then be elect in 5 years for 5 year term. They effectively handle them the government back to the people shortly before the election for can't ask for the people a mandate again. This is how powerful the people are. Just that after they don't elect the government can sort of rubbish them, don't really care for them, not meet up with their manifesto promises, if not all, of course, all, but sometimes not the major ones that would change the impact or impact the lives of the people. Because after all, the duty of every government is to develop the life or livelihood of its people so that in people can get decency and respect, not only within their own society, obviously, but the outside society as well. But a government that cannot take care of its people will become a laughing stock to the neighbors. It's not a good government at all. So today we want to talk about the product of the malaise. In other words, waiting the sickness produce. Imagine the sickness now they produce because sometimes we need for understand what the symptoms of a sickness is. Now, in the symptom, they make you for understand whose kind of sickness and how to approach the sickness and potentially how to develop a cure. The Sierra Leonean experience is completely unique, Fambule, unique. And this is what I want to touch on today for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And want to touch on another small thing we get for come up soon. But I just developed this program kind of quickly. From me point of view and my opinion, again I repeat, from my point of view and my opinion, the country is going through a prolonged period of rot, decay, and decline. I repeat, for emphasis sake, Fambulem, the country they go through a long period of decline and decay. Okay? We know say a lack institutional strength. The institutions they can talk about who they talk about democracy because we can just talk about the word, but truly and meaningfully on a practical basis, it's a nothing on the ground because the institutions are either weak fragile, maneuverable, and can be machinated, used and abused as the powers that be want. These are the kind of institutions that we get. So these institutions lack strength. The reason why I talk about institutions, Famulem, despite the importance of these institutions in the machinery, democratic state or democratic governance, yet, waiting we don't they build upon over the last 20 years, 25 years since the end of the Civil War is now at a stage where my opening paragraph says the country is going or about to go, in fact, is going through a decaying period, a declining period. We see poverty back on the up. We see corruption back on the table and very rife. These are all facts. Only people who support corruption and unpatriotic will say the other and hold blame of fingers, accusing fingers at me. These are all just facts. The level of poverty is up. You can't be agreeing that the economy is in a mess and they try to provide an excuse for that. And the economy means a whole lot to the livelihood of the people. But then when you say poverty is up and then you want for deny 'em, no, that's topsy-turvy, that's upside down. It doesn't work that way. If you don't accept that the economy is in a mess, you own up and apologize to the people, saying that you're trying to find solutions, not put foot soldiers out there for attack people who are going to be talking about these things. It doesn't work that way. We need to get serious, and this is exactly what I mean. Say we country they go through a really decaying period, a really declining period. The past wasn't um, um, better than the previous, but this now is far worse than the then. Of course, all the indices point out to that. Now, it make us say, if you see, say the country they have economic problems, things or something where you they admit to. But then when it comes to saying, well, the people and they suffer as a consequence of economic problems, then you don't want to accept that, then you have been very deceitful and hypocritical. I will repeat again that the business of every government is to ensure that the livelihood of its people is maintained, is upped. People and livelihood for the increase by many folds on a yearly basis. Every time we government declare budget, surplus. If surplus not this have but enough for let people then live on. But unfortunately, this is not the case, and this is what I'm speaking to tonight. So, Fumble and for Una, we just join. Please share the video. I know say this program was on schedule, and the amount of time that it was published, I mean, the notice was published or publicized, that be in hours, so we can understand. But please share and let other people they hear waiting the in the making. I talk about the country and institutions them and about how weak these institutions are or how weaker they are getting. Because after the war, these members say the war collapsed everything. Out of the ashes of war, we begin for develop again. We begin for ask with foreign party them and we other people and we able through different kind means for Canto we help. And lo and behold, the answer, the international community rally, they came to our help. We begin for develop institutions, then we get for empower with democratic process for go forward. This is what we started doing immediately after the war. So the emphasis was multifaceted, but more focused on institutional building and keeping the peace. This is what Pakaba, the late Pakaba, assumed. And this is what he built upon. And on that basis, then he passed on to the guy will inherit power from him. And that person day now and by Kooma we continue with that power day till in 2018 instead of hand over power to Mother Bill. So Fambulem, we just need for make a quick comparative analysis for see how waiting as a correct that the country the decline. It's in a state of decline. It's in a state of decay. The institutions that we Pakaba being create, then one they will be exist, then one will them be not empower. We subsequent governments them be supposed for come and empower for move the country forward. No. political party after political party in governance use their institutions then they to their advantage, i.e., the police, for example. The police, a well to do institution meant to serve and protect the interest of the Sierra Leonean people. But as we see now, it is serve the interest of people within a power and not the Sierra Leonean people. This is a fact. And these are some of the things that we are talking about here tonight. And this is worrisome. This is trouble. And this is part of the reason why I say we country is in a state of decline. We country is in a state of rot, of decay. That's what our country is in which the institution they not get any strength at all. The little strength where they can get is waning away because governments they decide for use these institutions to their advantage. Look at the army, for example. The army, one of the noble institutions of a country, where in business now for protect the country against foreign aggression. And in a case in cases them where the country they go through some difficult domestic moments, for example, some strife where the government cannot just use available resources as the police for quell down or not quell because it might not be a riot or protest that they can't handle some some disaster like flooding, for example, which overwhelms the government. The country or the government can then call on the army for can help for assist in bringing this thing back to normalcy. Bridge broke, they can call a couple of army engineers because within the army you get very professional people. But the point that I'm trying to make again is army itself is being compromised. And this again, a fact, when they see these things, then they play out right before we very eyes. Then get pass out na Banda Juma or somewhere. The first lady now they go perform the task of the military. The military. The military, I repeat. The first lady now go perform the task, pinning soldiers on a pass out. Not to some kind of ceremony where the first lady be induced or introduced or something of that kind. And Fambula, not forget when they talk about the army. We also they look at people within the army or the rank and file within the army and the restructuring within the army by the current president. I mean, the president has got, I believe, the right to structure the army, but in consultation, there's always in consultation because if that process is lacking, one of consulting, then it becomes a kleptomania kind of government or it become a dictatorship where you know they consult these varying institutions. Or even if you go consult them, they are kind of rubber stamp, like the parliament, for example. Look at the parliament. This parliament has not been helpful to the Sierra Leonean people. Hence, we find ourselves in the situation we find ourselves. Every one of them in the parliament, nobody exempt from the speaker, a very corrupt speaker elected inside a particular house, which was supposed to be the house of the people, where justice, laws that are in favor of the people. And when I say in favor of the people, I mean the people with a capital P. Everybody. But no, laws are only the Lord and they are out favor with an individual and the broad basis of that's what's been happening in that parliament for 4 years. For 4 years, an opposition Kamarimba Mansari continue for languish in jail. A high-profile person, regardless of how you want to define him, he is the owner, founder of an opposition party who participated in a presidential debate, the first of its kind in the country. Today he languishes in jail on charges where they've been tell we appear completely different now. Such is the kind of leadership that we make with they say we institutions them are non-functional or the least functional, so they're weak. And you as president, they demonstrate your strength by holding your opponents and chunking them in jail or throwing them in jail and throwing the keys away. This is not how democracy functions. Hence, I say again that our country is going through a period of decline. This is all fact. And I relay the case. And there's much more to it, but like I say, this broadcast is going to be really, really short. Instead of the big progress, right again before we very eyes, with a witness how we country, the rollback gains that we make over the last 20, 25 years. And they talk about democratic gains. This is not personal. This is real. This is statehood I'm talking about. And they talk about elections that were held in which we see outright thievery, broad day of the people and vote. Need I remind you of constituency 110? Need I remind you of Koinadugu by-elections and many other by-elections? One of them, an official from the other side of the political aisle, caught changing numbers, which is a terrorist offense, because what that process was going to do was shape the outcome of waiting one particular person wants. We're not normal and natural because this is not the way the vote went. Now people and vote now it converts so from the people away, these people and vote for another, for favor another. That's criminal. That's a terroristic offense. But to this day, they say PPRC, they look into Ram. Justice has not been served for the Sierra Leonean people. Hence, I say the country is in a state of decay, is declining right before we very eyes because of the naira. Largely the naira. You see, I talk about the institutions, them how the institutions they're not really strong because there are people deliberately in power. And this goes to all governments in power because the intention after the war was to make sure that we get this democratic plurality in which everybody can kind of participate openly, fairly, in which the people can make a choice of electing a government for the people, with the people. But unfortunately, it seemed like something else is in the play. And away from this broadcast, just before I end this broadcast, I will intimate something like that. Hopefully, I don't forget. Waiting this situation not also produce is a society which has become largely a lawless society. And we blame the politician and back for this because the politicians them they entertain their scenario there as long as he play to their advantage. Tell you a few things. We don't hear the name Arata, not so. We know Udana Arata, not so. Arata basically they go and terrorize Sierra Leoneans them in the name of the ruling party. This is reminiscent of the All People's Congress in the 1980s, a period I grew up in. This is reminiscent of the APC in the 1980s, where some people and some people who supposed to be really smart, they're still not able to draw the difference between the APC then and the APC now, and who is more criminal between the political parties, and who is more touch and who is more violent, threatening. But because APC been on work that Katade, they still the well and Panam to this day, whereas the evidence is clear as to who is committing this barbaric act. Because about somebody else they commit the act, it's simple. For you can catch them and hold them. But if people in the commit the act and you can hold them, this is simply because now you people. And one of them turn out for Biarata, where they go and go terrorize people. Then. And clearly we see policemen they don't confess, other man they will not be able to do nothing to Abo because of XYZ. Famulem. These are some of the reasons why I say we country a day in a state of decay. And this system don't produce a non-law abiding situation in which certain section or sector of the society don't become non-law abiding. They don't give a damn about the law because whatever they do, the law will back them. They will be free from powers from above. Now, what no more in the past? Sababu. So you break the law. Instead of you being held accountable for breaking the law, you are left to go scot-free. Because why? Connection. And that connection did not go down well at all. So we country, as a consequence of their action there, don't also become largely non-law abiding. With people them, some of we people and not all of them. There's a large number of we people them who are law abiding. But government now, government then, always encourage, just that the situation is getting worse, encourage people and for being non-law abiding. Because if you go do me bidding that I want for let you do, go intimidate, threaten, and in some cases physical assault on citizens them, we're supposed to bear the maximum penalty on somebody who assaults a fellow citizen. But that person they will commit the crime, assault, battery, or whatever, will end up going scot-free. Because why? Political connection. And the reason why I go do what he do anyway, because he or she is connected or was urged by a party connected to government for go commit such an act. So hence, you see a situation in which lawlessness is on the increase. The thing where they make this for continue again, like I say, now government not irresponsible. Any term or any side where you get an inefficient government, an ineffective government, for that government they survive, for carry out in tasks that we're not good at all. Because if the tasks are good, you don't need henchmen. You don't need mafia style kind of governorship for go intimidate people and threaten people and beat people them up. You don't need that. Because why? You they do the bidding of the people. But because you are not doing this, this is the product or the outcome where we they see so on a daily basis. Fambule will make me once again say that we country a day in a state of decline, politically, socially, economically. And this is the case that I'm laying waste in front of Una today. And this is sad, really sad. It really, really sad. You see, Fambulem, there is something else where they bother me, which is you get a prolonged issue where they go on, or where they take a considerable amount of time with people if they determine, or the point that I'm trying to make, and like I say from the beginning of this program, we are priming our people for what is to come. So the things that we say is how we dey try for prepare them to be conscious in the first place, understand what is going on, be resilient to all these things that they will throw at the people, be organized so that you are not alone, and be very, very strong and patriotic to country and the rest of it. That are the kind of thing we expect with people and for do. And whether they do this as well, as election, the low more get for see boku violence, the people and get for be more resilient, more resolved, more together, like organizing. So they are together as a people with one common goal that the country Sierra Leone must prevail. Because you get people and with the intent just for acquire power could go to the length and breadth of dispensing violence of some kind never seen before just for acquire power. Of course, we've seen it before and we thought that was behind us, and suddenly we are beginning to witness such again with a possibility that we will see such a thing coming back very soon as election looms large. It's 10 months from now to elections. 10 months. Okay. And this is quite important, Fambulen. Very important. And I want to Fambulen really understand this. Yeah. I really want to Fambulen for understand this. That the possibility of averting violence in the upcoming elections is almost zero because, in my opinion, supported by evidence, because we don't see precedents then to that effect, the tension, the amount of provocation, the disinformation, the misinformation, the propaganda is all a recipe for chaos, making people to believe what is not true, using minions and in other parlance vuvuzelas for advocate and press home something the way somebody want for their people and now minor number of people and they do this by the way, but then they make their voice so loud, hence why they call them vuvuzela, that annoying thing where you they blow them and make so much noise. And if it's concentrated, if you get multiple people and they blow them, well, they may likely prevail because it's so annoying that you will go wash you and give up and just turn you back and go. But this should not be the case for you Sierra Leoneans because this is exactly what's going to happen. The Vuvuzela thing is just an analogy. The real thing is going to be really physical. You are going to be abused. You are going to be assaulted. You are going to be threatened, intimidated. And in some cases, not only you, but maybe by extension, your family. This is the kind of thing we see the loom large and it is coming. When I not say we'll not been talking. It is coming and it will surely come. And it's not really far away. Because you see why? Well, who will see so? For loose power is a huge thing. So you can see why, if you for lose power, because you lose onto something else, onto somebody else, it is a huge thing. So imagine how much effort that person they self get for make that person where they can acquire power. Power not a small thing. It always get some now make people away righteous. Then they go into that. And then they go into that at all because it's a bloody some kind of a game. It's not for the faint in heart. It's for the strong in spirit. Those who have caught the reason. Anyhow, that if then they fight a cause and they talk about righteous cause, because you get people the way they fight anyhow, power say this 9 for B. And when they say 9 for B, 9 for B. But when they talk about somebody patriotic loving, we understand the plight of the country, we get the country at heart, we they decide say I want to take the country in a real right direction, not in the wrong direction, but in the real right direction. So understand all of that and equally understand the tendency for let you arrive at your objective. It involves XYZ, in some cases violence. So even though I get the Bible, but for help the people, because that's what they do among themselves, these politicians. Now, who that wield the greatest violence, who that able for intimidate people enough for back off. Because not a small play. Now them eventually go prevail, which makes it non-democratic practice. Non-democratic practice. So the democracy that was ushered in some 25 years ago after the end of the Civil War, in which institutions were being built, i.e. the police, millions and millions of dollars spent on rejuvenating, yeah, rehashing, yeah, revamping, reforming, the main word, reforming the police, because the police had become politically compromised, in which, as an institution of the state, was in support of certain elements of society who are powerful, and hence they abandon the obligation or the social contract with the populace or the population or the citizenry, and instead go along with the powers that be at the moment. So every time there is a change in the political structure or leadership, there is violence, massive violence, in which people, including the police, they lose their lives. But long before then, 10 and they come, the stage already set because the police had become a tool not for the people, but for the state machinery to unleash violence on the very people whom they are supposed to serve and protect. So it's set. So by the time things change hands, before the peace is consolidated, which not supposed to be, there's always supposed to be a smooth transition of power where we don't fed up with you, brah, or we don't fed up with you, mama. Do now for go suffer. We need another people and for can give them your idea. Maybe then go help lift we up small. Or waiting you don't do is enough. Let other person can bring their own innovative idea them and see how we can take the country forward. After all, there's 7.5 million of us. I don't know if this data don't increase. I don't know if they don't announce the midterm census results. We obviously been get an impact on the current population census. But I don't think that has been announced yet, and I hope not. Okay. So, except some dramatic change happen in the direction that with the USA with the head now, and I repeat, except some dramatic change happen now, the where the direction USA with the head now, if a dramatic change will not happen, we are on a collision course in 10 months' time, in which violence of some kind we probably haven't witnessed ever in our country. But if probably for some reason we will have to make comparison, politically speaking, when the country being they not in a state of normal, but at least there wasn't war being fought. So it's not a war period that they talk about. There was some semblance of peace, serenity, although most of we been there against that, which was the one party state. We saw clashes, we saw violent clash, we saw the filling in of election boxes, and got stuffing of ballot boxes. We see them. But one would think that these are things of the past, not of the present. But lo and behold, some of them tactic they are, of course, they don't refine them a little bit, but they're very much prevalent because we see them in a moment or two within the last 20, 25 years, not rampant. But instead of the do away with them, lily, it seems like it's obvious it's going to prevail again. So it gives you flashes for people like us who saw the 1970s go hide under bed or you did between your mama in foot. They hide. Because you hear the noise out there, you know it's violence. You dey see that for your tear gas or smell the tear gas and your gunshots and all the noise. You dey hear am. In those days, how old were people like us? you know, very, very young, scared. And our mama then provide them protection and they for we. Because that's the only place we could run to. We were not the target because we're not political then, but so much so that we've been scared. And so much so is the situation today that tear gas, tear, protest yonder, police brutality yonder, shooting yonder, killing yonder. It's almost reminiscent of the 1980s, the point that they try to make. So, except something dramatic happen, like for example, the president of the current republic, His Excellency retired Brigadier Julius mAADA, decide for say, you know what, him, we can forgive with people and peace of mind. This tension that is mounting, because that can happen. Tension builds up. So not to say it can just happen just like that. There's times where it's spontaneous, but most times people like can conduct studies over a period or wait something will happen, then decide for organize either a think tank or some investigation or interrogation where go look at why it happened. And if they look at why it happened, it means that you get for look at the history of the situation. USA it begin, why it begin, who done have been a player them, who that these players then belong to, why then do what and do or unleash such. And the reason behind the investigations there is for government to never again, because you've lost your people, you've lost face. International friends, them, neighbors, them, they look at your country as violent because you've killed people. Something will happen at Conakry, Guinea, will led to the coup of Colonel Dumbuya. People would they go with all kinds of passion. Oh, the French were involved, the American were involved, the man beneath that. The bottom line is Conde had become a despot if he wasn't already a despot. He manipulated um, a constitution which limited the presidential term to two terms. And it not mean say because the presidential, I mean the constitution of the country limit presidential term to two terms, means say you get automatic right for rule the country for two terms. No, it just means say, lawfully speaking, if you have done a first term, by law you are entitled for do a second term. The same constitution not entitle you for carry out a third term. It's illegal. But because you're not the president, you push heaven and earth, you push and pull, you kill dozens and dozens and dozens of the people that you were meant to serve and protect, only for let you go a third time for manipulate the constitution. And this is one of our weakness. We need to ever allow something for stay its course. Yes, we can come and doctor with constitution. In fact, doctor not to the right word. That's very sinister a word. We can come and look into a constitution, look into some laws in the constitution, and if we want for change them, if we want for adjust them, we can look for a referendum. Now it make all the apparatuses of state then supposed for function independently. Parliament know in your role inside the democracy. So is the judiciary, and of course the executive. They should be co-equal branches of government. But unfortunately, in our own country, and it's not only now, the president is the most powerful. The executive is the most powerful. What he say, now in the be. In the be it and all. Because it can infringe on people and rights. And you can't seek redress anywhere else, even at the highest court of the land, once it's against the president. So I wonder whether we think on how to change these things. So probably Marabio is the last person that enjoys this. We, the people, can effect these changes then. We can compel with parliamentarians then. We can ground the country to a halt, but it has to be organized. That when we do that, we're able to read a motion out to the government or the parliament, and the international community will be listening, and all cameras internationally will be pointed at us. And then we can make we case. It cannot continue for be business as usual. Because waiting Julius Mada Biore do so, if any other president should come, they will do the same thing. Why we the people gonna continue for accept this, for accept less, for look less? And we are all supposed to be Sierra Leoneans. No Sierra Leonean is supposed to be more than any other Sierra Leonean. No Sierra Leonean is supposed to be more than any other Sierra Leonean. Yes, you can get your position. Yes, you can be head of state. Yes, you can be director of mines. Yes, you can be first lady. But at the end of the day, the law makes us all equal under the law by virtue of with citizenship, with citizenry, with place of birth. We entitled we to be called Sierra Leoneans and make us all equal. And are the people and give you mandate. The people, we the people, give you the mandate for say you know it in. We mandate you, and as the proviso of the constitution, 5-year term, go on and go do your 5-year. But if you not do within, you tell we say you go do it for which we have entrusted the running of the state in your care, then we'll have to take that mandate back and give to someone else. And here lies the problem. Every time now when the people want to take the mandate, we will be give the mandate, and now become problematic for us because in the process, some of us end up for lose with lives. Lives that should not be lost only because we want to take the power back and give to somebody else and try somebody else. 7.5 million of us. Sierra Leoneans, we need to wake up, we need to get up, we need to organize, we need to mobilize. Not only for the now, but going forward. It should not be business as usual all the time. And I make her to say, this administration, for be the last administration, we enjoy this sort of freedom. we enjoy this sort of governance in which the executive branch is so powerful that they can weigh in on the other arms of government or of the democracy, which is, i.e., the judiciary and the parliament. And this parliament, I know say some people enjoying after, has not been helpful at all. They've not helped to move the agenda forward in which the lives of the Sierra Leonean people will change. And the evidence is stacking. Look at the state of our people today. Waiting a suffer. Look where people in the suffer. Look at the economy and the one for us for belief say now where Ukraine start Russia invade Ukraine. Now in this way economic. No, no. And this not the mistake this way I think say the supporters of government can make. They forget for no say the history is there, and some of us are interested in it. When you assume power, what was the state of the economy or the state of the state? Some of us are fully aware, at least what was out there to the public, because Kuku Jumuku, then getting away the inside where we don't know about, where I want to touch on briefly before I end this program. Like I've been saying, this is not a short program. But we know the state of the economy wasn't too good when you assume power. And at some point, let's forget about all that BS that you said leading to the election. I will solve the economy in 6 months. Because that's on you. That's on you, SLPP. That's on you, retired Brigadier His Excellency Julius mAADA Bio. But it seems like these people will not care. It's like the misinformation and disinformation. It's like the bread and butter issue, which was clearly explained to us and which we understand. We understand the balance. Okay, we might not be Creoles, but we all, or certainly a huge amount of us, do speak Creole and understands it very well. The bread and butter issue within our bread and butter. All I know be saying that people that we don't understand this local balance, this Creole. Use the Creole analogy and not able for understanding exactly what he mean. Because now the only reason we me go suspect say that's why they come back and tell we say, well, not to so we be say, or not just outright dry because you fail altogether for the liver. So you come back to the people and begin for explain to them, say, well, not to so I be say, not to so I be mean. The bread and butter, you know, you turn out to phone as if the people are big fool. And I sure say the people are not big fool. The people are hearing. And even if you're big fool, over and over and over and over, you kind of learn. You promise me this, you not deliver. Promise me that, you not deliver. Are they help for make excuses for you? Oh yeah, the economy will be inherit even bad. So they'll not be able to do this. You promise me that, you not deliver. But on top of that, whilst I dey sympathize with you because of the economy where you inherit, been there in some dire strait, if I can use that word very strong, don't think it was in dire strait, but there were constraints. But as you say, you're having quite a good time. And nobody know they say enough for have a good time. But you're having a good time while the rest of the country is suffering, completely suffering. So you they see the sickness, I mean the symptoms of the sickness where the sickness produce when at the current government. Because they told us that they understand the sickness because they knew the symptoms of the sickness. But they have turned out now for be the symptom of the sickness where the sickness produce. Because that's what they're doing to us now, we the people. They're having a great time. The first lady is having a great time. Nobody can talk about them. Because when you talk about them, the few supporters, very few supporters, they make a lot of noise come at you where the reality is there. Probably some of you do not understand the salon tradition. The salon tradition, if you come in get burying, even if you know they go sympathize with them, and they talk about neighbor also get burying, you know they go sympathize with them. At least you go turn your stereo down or you not play no music at all. At least you not go dance. At least you mood neighbor go solemn, even if you get thick fence we separate una. But in reverence, in understanding, in sympathy and empathy with your neighbor, all you picking you go tell body una keep on quiet until una know say Uncle John or Auntie Musu, blah blah blah. You know, but not in this case. The first lady is dancing. What a disconnect. What a disconnect. The woman put the picture of the president at the wall and dance and release the video. And release the video. Psychologically, some of us try to figure out, but what is going on? So probably two things, if not three. One, she's been very provocative. And this is what I find difficult. Because when you do so, sometimes in your understanding, now message it is sent out to antagonize them. But again, me man, una see that they make noise. And I don't condone that in any shape, sense, or form, because that's absolutely wrong. You're the first lady of the country. There's supposed to be a modicum of decency. I repeat, a modicum of decency is supposed to be exhibited at all times. Some of them video, then they can be private. Nobody know they say that you not do video. You take video, you dey dance. The country they suffer, but you dey pan ladila. That's what you on. You dey pan ladila. And you supposed to be the mama for the nation. Do you feel me, Sierra Leoneans? Do you see the disconnect there? You take the president in picture, put him up and they dance to him. Psychologically, again, waiting on mean. Two things, or if not three again, to me, is well, in fact, the president sees that. Maybe the president even see don't they? First, we need to see that. But and then they say, I have no evidence to that. Do not take my word for it. And I'm not saying that yes, President Bio been see on there. But one believes say President Bio did see the video, if not earlier, but later he did see that. Because that's the point that she's trying to make. Me one green bobo. Without you, how would I have ever found myself in this position? And now that I'm in this position, look at me. And this is my gratitude to you. I dance to you, I dance for you, and let us see how much you know here I did dance for you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The second, theory is the same the first one before which I just say. We now for provoke. It's a kind of provocation to others out there. Because after all, before the man became president, he was popular in some circles, and there are rumors of many other, things ongoing, and the struggles of Fatima Bio, now first lady, because the president is a damn good-looking man, if you know what I mean. So, with power, at least he was head of state before. Of course, he will have women rallying to his cause. Come in, and you get your woman house, but they say down in get a ring, and you get the man. Imagine that. So she will have gone through those struggles. But today, indeed, and make the president for marry them in a lavish, not lavish. Normally, I can look way head of state them or big people and they married. It was a more conservative, then try to make a more conservative and private wedding, but it was well publicized. So that was a message as well. Say, well, I don't marry the man who finally, although they say there was a traditional married, I don't take her. So now Indian house, we know they go down into things the way we're not certain about the alpha from or the walking area, like she won't allow the money order picking them into the house when make certain people and they kind of upset with them. But that's more like private, don't have evidence on that. So I don't go into that. Not to then small talk then I want for talk. I want talk them with real substance. Even if not theory, I want support me theory based on me resume, where give me some assumption um of yeah, of some right for speculate on that basis day, and probably on a 50-50 basis. Oh yes, absolutely. So the woman they dance. And this woman, she cannot win an election for SLPP. No. She's a divisive figure, both nationally, with the monarch a lot of people. Because she had an opportunity for unite the nation. Of course, she had it wrong. Because let me take myself for an example. So if suddenly my situation, but I know say I don't go past that, but let me say 20 years back and beyond, my situation was to change automatically, and when I say automatically, I mean a flip upside down 360 degree from where I've been there and find myself in that kind of position and day. Of course, I believe say me attitude would have been different because I would not have been prepared as yet for what had become my portion. You see what I'm saying? So I would have made a lot of mistakes. So you try for reason with them on that basis day. But 4 years on, it's 4 years. And this position, not a small position, because it's and advisors and counselors and you name it, you're a battery of them. Although largely a lot of them are label, none of them you could try not for one for blame them, but I do. But most of them are just there waiting the mommy say, that's what pass. I wonder whether anybody able yeah, by the collar because that's true what a true friend is. And Madam Fatima Bio, if you are listening, this is what a true friend is. Because I tell you this again. When power will have left you, some of them people is where you see so they dance with you, where they laugh with you, okay? They will be laughing at you. They will be laughing at you. They will say all kinds of stories about you. All kinds of stories about you. Where some will be true, but most of them, as per exaggeration, will not be true. Because why didn't they do waiting and they do so now? Now because power. So waiting be of interest to you, or should have been of interest to you. I'm not sure whether it's late. It looks like it's late, but you've done so much damage. Now you will be not endear yourself to the people. But opinion. I believe say you lost the endearment there to the people a long time ago, and that affected you because at some point you realize that. And like again, I say if you listen, these are just things where I believe strongly about. I've got no evidence. I've got some circumstantial evidence for corroborate with what they say, but you miss an opportunity for endear yourself with the people of Sierra Leone, your people, as mama for the nation. And the people let me not adjudicate on you a long time ago, Madam Fatima. So let me give you an example why I believe say let me not adjudicate on you a long time ago and how it hurt you so much. And you never really recover from that point. Here it is. I don't forget which one of the independents. I think that the first independence, yeah, when you became the chair lady for the steering committee for that independence celebration day. So all the all the budget not being you. Something where you for be not avoid. Where you for be not avoid, especially that budget where you for be not avoid. Because you don't need for torture. You can let them set up somebody else suffer. You then at the background, they monitor, you want to know how every penny is spent. But you make sure saying that to you then pass them. That show how hungry with an agree you were, because this was the earlier moment and it was fat money. You got involved in good faith, maybe, but there was a lot of money involved and you got involved. So the first thing what you do, of course, normally program them of that magnitude, now stadium, now they celebrate, and when we own national square, now we own shrine. This is where we cry, this is where we laugh. Now we shrine down the. So the celebration was taken there. Unfortunately, Madam First Lady, the benefit because we get the benefit of the doubt. We get the benefit of the benefit of hindsight. You're not even feeling 80 90% of that stadium there. No. It's just around the presidential stand, you and your few cohorts. Can you imagine? Salon people will like business with the Independence Day. This is why to this day are convincing them may not adjudicate on you some time ago. Say, Imami not try. Now the snub nine and snub you so. And you realize that snub day at that stadium. It hurts because the stadium we expect for be packed, jam-packed on a joyous, joyous day. The day when the country been born. The people they detach themselves from you. They tell them for can show solidarity with the nation and the mama for the nation for help you stay up on this gladdy gladdy. So you see, the people may not make the judgment a long time ago. And in my opinion now, from only a psychological point, don't have anything forensic or circumstantial. Yeah, a bit of circumstantial as well based on what happened. You not ever forgive the people them again from that point. Because from that point on, every time when we see Mrs. Fatima Bio speak, now in anger to the Sierra Leonean people, in anger. Until we don't tell una, we go, what's in the word, mob justice una. You know, at the slightest opportunity, you ridicule an entire nation, the people, and where you supposed to be mama. Now, who's mama where they tell people in young people or in Pekin? Who's mama where they tell in Pekin and say, we go mob justice una. This is where you miss all them points in it. And then you get the people away. I'm not saying that they should not support you, but when things like that happen, therefore don't do an evaluation and assessment of that and can do some damage control, not for can double down. Oh, the first lady, not the best first lady. Oh, they're jealous and what have you. To this day, people and they use that strong word, they jealous, even though you they submit something for say, madam, this is what the problem is, or this is where it went wrong. So anyway, it's up to them because I know say that number is reducing by the day, and I know within your own household, there are people who object to the way how you they perform because you shield everything that the man cannot even see in your own family. I mean, away see them, you are part of that meeting. Now you they organize, now you they dismiss. So you go for no say naturally, then hold these things against you. And the reason why they do this now because you feel insecure as the first lady. So you will not allow somebody for Kenya the pa where you know they for Yeri, or even if you know they forget somebody near day. Now makes something the pa they go. You know one can you go on the delegation, but you cannot beat gun, you don't go, or you defend way for go anyhow for inconvenient the man and embarrass the man. You've done this many times. So you're not an asset to Ram, and you're not an asset to Paupa either. You are more of a liability because you have divided this party. Now, the one that will benefit from you, and when a small circle of people, we see that in Kailao. The part being for jump inside again and manage for tackle land it quickly. But this was as a consequence of the damages the way you don't do within the party. We want to go conduct on elections, yanda, a women's election. It come up bad. That was shameful. But until people are busy, they hustle for look for their daily life, so they can't go on and on and on and on. But all of these things are documented. You are not an election winner. No, you're not. We see you in our constituency 110. You were supposed to be the star. That you stardust go up and the other people you go able to influence the situation. But that was the wrong peak. You lost. Despite the dance, the money, the bribery, the promises of development and what have you, to a shameful point when a caterpillar and all go begin dig hold them and got at them. You see the manipulation of the people and like say the people and big fool, but the people and tell us say they're not big fool. They voted who they wanted to vote for. 110. 3 times in a row, you lost it. And then the development not go on again. 1 week later, the caterpillar was gone. Can you imagine that? We see you recently in Koya, and that was the worst one. You've never been there before. You've never given these people any kind of incentive. They haven't derived any dividend. Nothing, nothing really. But when election come, you were there because we feel see we election, then we can just take money and just scatter to people. Them. You don't know say people and they wise up on a daily basis, and people and get a strong hold them. And when I don't study anything in it. But there was this feeling that this will happen. And then you get Alpha Kande. Alpha Kande, they come is supposed to get influence. In fact, that's when I can't go there. Then they say, oh, Alpha Kano and not campaign with the first lady. Oh, where the first lady been team up, I mean, they talk. Or where Alpha can team up there. First of all, what thing them go do they? Not to campaign and go on. This is the thing. Would they think say with people and big fool, but on another land, with people and not big fool. They're not big fool at all. So, like I say again, the difficulty is too much for we people. Really too much. You see, me not to one person we deluded for things say the crisis now between Russia and Ukraine not don't have an impact on we people them. Of course, I do believe strongly that that has an impact. We not don't know economy not supposed to be. Unfortunately, that's what we are. We depend on the outside very strongly. And the outsiders, then what we depend on, they are going through their own struggles as well. Inflation rate continue to go up now. Then major Western countries, then where we can get lily and nothing from. Britain, for example, where I reside, the interest rates don't go, I mean the inflation rates don't go up by 9%, the highest in 40 years. So you go get for the bank governor go get for increase interest rate for create a kind of balance because way inflation go up, prices of goods and what have you, it is shoot through the roof. Go buy petrol. We been buy 2 pump petrol before for drive for a day. Now you will get for buy 5 pump petrol or 20 pump petrol. Such is the situation. Food. You probably might not take notice, but then get people the way they take notice, like first day when myself they go buy. And not bother they look what they buy or me receipt. But this BNTM, actually they look me receipt. Because they go buy 20 pound in first them, you they get the supermarket bag full up. That's what the thing they all they want for them so. Now they bottom. They barely there. If you're like saying a popcorn and you. So this is the situation. So I'm fully aware that that has got an impact on the economy. But this is not to USA we problem them begin. We problem them begin some time ago. Where una take power and una promise we a new direction, and that new direction was never to come. In fact, it's the worst direction. It's the worst. I am critical of government, and I know people like he hold me responsible. It's like I'm not stopping, your others from saying what they want to say. Or if you want for Canada the platform, be you SLPP, NGC, ADP, or what have you, for Canada the platform, and let's have a conversation around that. What is central, or what's the editorial of this platform, is about the people. So if the rights of the people is not going well, we feel compelled for bring that case there and make a case. And if you not the government, regardless of which government shape or color is in power, we will be critical of you. As you can see with Banner Day, information is power. That's what we have there. And this is what we try for provide to with people. So choices that they make is based on informed choices. Whenever they want to make a decision, now because they are informed, and this is what we do. There's nothing personal between me and the Marabio government. No, it is our government. But within the constitution, it is there that we have to exercise with civic responsibility by holding government accountable. And potentially in so doing, if government will listen, and this is what the process is about, then they will take a step back like it's not going right. But what has this government done? They've been involved in frivolous spending. They've involved in expansion of the wage bill, where you not get money. Then you just expand them for accommodate. And here's the thing, because for employ is a good thing. Because when you pay people and people then go pay tax and money they go round. And it's a good thing and a good feel when money they go round in a nation. Because even if you don't get the 1,000, you go get the 2 block. You go get the 1 block. Or if the market now you they sell, because Mr. X they work, it go buy from you. And when you buy from you, you pay your business tax, money go into government able for develop something. Maybe make one road and make one pump and or make something. But then you just they expand the wage bill. Like for example, you are organizing embassies in places where the one the women don't see, I not see the bilateral relation and connection beneficial, mutually beneficial to both nations, other than you just creating it for create job for you cronies. We make the government begin for look like more like a kleptocracy, more like you they entertain cronyism. Because this is what it looks like. The evidence is there. The Africanist press, we, of course, supporters of the government can make like say the evidence that these people have submitted, incontrovertible evidence in real time, black and white. If not check get number, you get date, you get bank details. Yet you want deny, say, no, it's not. It's not, it's fake. But you can't go to the bank to ask. Or the people that are accused with the bank when they accuse, none of them would take legal action. And in fact, they're so boku that they can take a class action against the Africanist press. As at speaking, none of them has done so. Dr. John Idris Lahai will host shortly again, maybe next week, when probably I'm off from other duties. Expose fake degrees holders, predominantly people that are serving in government, a government that is supposed to be clean, unblemished. And the reason why they use this word because it can artfully offend them. But this is what they campaign on. The principle of being clean, that we go hold others responsible for mismanaging the account of this country. Now, who else for hold people accountable for corruption? That will be people who are non-corrupt. Unfortunately, this is not the case. It's quite the opposite. And corruption today, as we speak, is even more if we can go along with the Auditor General report. We again back, then throw the mommy under the bus like tilopias, under the bus. And try for make like say and report them a bias. And as long as you are critical of a government or the government, and both parties do that, the two major parties and the APC, if I were to be criticizing APC now, APC people would definitely be saying I belong to Paupa or Julius mAADA Bio's SLPP. But I'm more focused because from the beginning when they lost power, we were exposing a lot of things that they did, that they said. We've been in an APC then case to a point where people then begin accuse me, you say, oh, me not paid agent, Marabio, blah, blah, blah. And the SLPP people and myself were good friends. We're talking with big people them. We're getting information. But 4 years on, the one for that put me focus on the APC. We know to then they make decision on how the people and lives go change. Because that's what we really care about. There are many things we care about, but the primary one among them all is the livelihood of the people. Because, yes, so we believe, and in fact, it's an international thing that the business of every government now for change the lives of the people for the better. If the people in lives better, now for make them best. Or if we get where for go by the superlative form, good, better, best. So you meet and good, make them better. If it's better, try for make them best. You know what I mean? This is exactly my point, and this is what we stand for here. So as they say, unless something urgently is done, the cause that we are approaching is going to be bloody. We need for begin for Sam, and we need for begin for prep with people then for that, because the changing of God, the changing of power, it doesn't come simple. And because this is the worst case scenario, Fambulem, you see a collision course with the people and the government. And there is so much ongoing I will touch on and just before I close this program. In other words, the skullduggery. Let me talk about Adrian Fisher a little bit. Okay. Adrian Fisher, as a consequence of being advised, where we are, it seems for them provide some kind of backing or legitimacy intentionally, if I may add there, because it kind of sideline the people that, and this does not mean that the party is not supposed to reform. I am for reformation, and I don't speak for them. I'm just speaking in a general term. Now, reformation, especially within the political process and party them, is a necessity. The old guard will need to go, but there needs to be a process. And sometimes maybe the court will have to come and try for initiate this process, because for let the old guard and go, it's not easy. We suicide and say not to court be put me in a not to court get for tell me when for go. Unfortunately, the law is the law, and you're no longer president, even though you're still very much a famous man and very powerful man in a different sense, because you do command respect among the citizens. But when the law takes its course, you know that you have to obey, and this is where we are. But this nine at the point. So Adrian Fisher cleverly don't come between these feuding factors and push aside the heavyweights of the party and give power to lightweight people, and I don't mean it in a disrespectful fashion. I just to say the ongoing thing now is light and heavyweight. The lightweight people who are new and young and dynamic, they have been entrusted with taking this party forward. But in doing so, in my opinion, Adrian Fisher don't drive a wedge between the old and the new, and even the party people. Even the party people, because right now there's a division in which some party people they say, no, we should not accept this. But that's absolutely up to them. But it's not productive that um, um, 10 months to elections, you still haven't had a convention, you still haven't selected a flag bearer, where for can represent UNA for, in this case, as Mother Bio government defend and difficult for can speak for the Salon people. Yet you want to go back in a court. And this is the dilemma that the All People's Congress Party, in my opinion, find themselves in. It's not like they wanted to agree, but the factor of timing, which is not in their favor, will mean that they have to swallow hard. But even if they swallow hard, I don't think say most people understand Adrian Fisher in playbook. Most people don't understand Adrian Fisher's in playbook. And remember, say this case has been long drawn out in a court. Remember one time they go court and all. They say because Adebayo they curse Adrian. Not what they say, Adrian Fisher say Adebayo they curse him. So the Secretary General, this is unheard of. Fabulem, you understand this. This is unheard of. A justice of the court say an individual we say associated, affiliated with the party, or it can get in feeling, say the Secretary General of the party need for weigh in on that gentleman day for tell and say it a cause harm and what have you, and the need for stop. Wow. Family, una they understand this? This is unprecedented. And the fact that it came into the political conversation, the political center of the conversation during these toxic times, it means it gets something absolutely for do with the present situation going forward, even with the decision made. So that decision has been made, and you can see the APC party still there in disarray. They not empower people them. We now lightweight people them. They I'm hearing rumors, I'm investigating this. We potentially then willing for take a compromise. So that Marabio will do in second term in office. And then come 2028, then we see what happens. But if this is the case, then una go really big fool. Una go really big fool. Yeah, una go really big fool. Because the same can be said of retired Brigadier Marabio, and something we are deeply subscribed to, because these are things that happen. He overthrew Strasser, and then he was very young and naive, not up to the task, did not even know what he was doing. This is what make I not be even fit for the office. Okay. So they can't tell and say, Paddy man, you need for go, we go support you, go study, we will give you all this baby money, and potentially you might return to power. But don't forget something. The late Tijan Kaba of the blessed memory, same party where Mother Bio belonged to, told the nation, don't you ever allow this man near power. Una hear me? The late Ahmed Tijan Kaba of blessed memory told us, don't you ever allow retired brigadier, now His Excellency President Julius mAADA, near power. I mean, how did he get there after a former president be no advice? It's possible to say the former president could have been advising on a biased basis, but at least he has a book. And Sierra Leone and them, una need for buy this book and read, go on Amazon and try for buy Pakaba book, where Pakaba outline few things. This current president charge us for few things then between he and brother Steve Bio, helicopter gunship. Charge with millions, I think about $5 million. They sell with passport, then they say them in the prosecute war. They not ask the current president that. They say not to be under in watch and it be necessary at the time. So it divert. Una watch another interview wey been go on between him and one foreign media personnel. There was a reason why the man ask him wetin he don dey do or wetin he don do. Because even though the constitution of the country say you can be of sound mind and of certain age, that qualify any Sierra Leonean for be a president, but it not mean say you cannot have experience. So even before you did get there, you meet up the criteria, but you get for go through discipline, through procedures. And before then they appoint you or nominate you or elect you, you will have gone through these procedures in which you will have been vetted up to a point, because that in itself is a kind of learning process. The man asked him, and what he say? He do few business them, I think cacao business and timber business, and he was largely unsuccessful. He tried for charming much through that quickly. But if you listen to the interview and if you've been seeing differently, you need to visit that interview day again. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Visit that interview and you go see that the man asked him. And there was a reason contextually why the man asked him. Because if you haven't run a business before or something before, and not only running it but successfully, because if you run something you're not successful, the likelihood for let you run the presidency and fail is huge. It's looming. It's real. But if you had run a successful business before, and then they talk about cassava business and patchcorn business, no, and they talk about a significant business, most likely something with global connection, or it can be on a local level, but some massive business. So not to foresee they sell patch or not a business, but not equivalent to you being qualified for take the presidency. Because you get forget a set of plan of actions. So when I see where they come up from, ladies and gentlemen, we dey at a critical stage in our country. I repeat, within a critical stage in our country. And every one of us has a responsibility to restate. Because whilst I believe the vast majority of us, we believe in we country and we allegiance not to we country, it is equally evident that some of us we allegiance and not there to we country, instead it either there to a party or to a person. And this is quite wrong. I know they say you know can support your person, but for support your person at the expense of the country, in which things they know they go wrong. The idea that one day you not see a fault in a particular person where you they support. Pardon me, that person they self in need for free due. In need for free due. Because a good friend, like I make the analogy earlier on about the first lady and all the people around her where they dance with them, yeah, in need for fear than people in there. Because some things, not to everything they go right. Except we not all make plans, say, but we don't give a damn, we don't care. This is just us, and for now, this is about us. We don't done for we, don't done for we. Then that means you are a non-serious bunch, and you have no business in place. Now the leadership of the country, you have none at all, none at all. Finally, or almost to the final, with media, they've gone either silent on their issues there. There are few, but they can calibrate them, questions them, or the way how they deal with their officials they are well, in my opinion, for few reasons. They don't silence a lot of the media people them, conventional and unconventional journalists, media pundits, social media creators, or whichever way you want for column, they've silenced a lot. So it's the doctrine of either you are with us or you are against us. If you are with us, that's all good and fine. You will be sorted and taken care of. At the end of the year where we hold this, we meeting them, people them, we go give you one bag rest. Imagine, I mean, up to today, this bag rest business goes back like 20, 30 years ago for give bag rest. And bag rest now something where they eat depending on the size of your family inside 1 week or at most 1 month. But now you they accept for giveaway, you vote for 5 years, Fumble in 5 years, not a small thing. We need for begin for rethink. We need for begin for reimagine this concept of bag rest and one butter oil or palmine for 5 years of giving we vote. We need for get politicians then for meet to policy them which are favorable for the country and by how you call them by default a benefit we the people. I repeat, we need for begin for compel politicians them that when they can't talk to us because they are coming. Trust me, they are coming if they haven't come already. Bribery on a massive scale is going to be taking place. Brown envelope is going to be passing. Truckloads of rice, get for the come. Can you now either free rice or bring the price of rice who not only buy for 5 years for 500,000 or 300,000. For this last few months, then we'll take the cut and the cost and sell unto una half of which una been buy them, and you get carried away, and then you give another 5 year mandate, and then you continue for suffer even on a more higher level than you are now suffering. This is not the height of big fool. Albert Einstein once said that stupidity not doing the same thing and expecting the same results. And I know Sierra Leoneans that we can rise above this morass, this rubbish, that we can think far more than they think we do, that we can shove off or up them, and tell them, say, we've had enough of this and we need to grow out of this. Imagine a few of we enjoy you every time where a government come. Certain government, there is a probably larger pool of people. With some other government, it's a closed pool of people. And as then they become unpopular, they begin for, sort of contract, which is all about themselves. They begin for they see all the others as enemies. It's only about themselves. Can you imagine that? And when election they come out, they begin for come out, can give you t-shirt. A t-shirt for a vote. A t-shirt for a vote. 50,000 or 100,000, like Emerson say, with one bag race. Then you vote for me 5 years. Sierra Leoneans, this message now for una. So you see, the press that's supposed for the educate una, unfortunately, either they themselves have become complicit or they become muzzled. And especially with the introduction of this cyber law, I'm afraid, because that's how they get a living. But when you take up this mantle, now as a consequence of sacrifice for nation, not for these leaders, these corrupt leaders, you should be able to stand up to them when you interview them, ask them the hard questions. There are many ways you can ask the questions in which you expose them. I've seen many of these interviews, and these guys can't stand up to these questions that they are asked. They don't even hardly understand it. They want you ask them straightforward questions. So you can play around them in which the people understand exactly the task that you are about for do, which is in their favor. Which is in their favor. We therefore keep at the back of our mind say this is not the height of media propaganda, media disinformation, media misinformation. And the algorithm where we self don't set, not waiting the people that we afford with this opportunity, the Facebook, the YouTubes, and the rest of it. We now in the shape where you put the algorithm they pick them up for mean certain things, and they can, you know how then they work them out. But in your algorithm itself, in terms of disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda, the height is on. But I can tell you now very few people, if you take your time and study social media, you see those for and those against. If somebody, for example, on Facebook they support, just go and look the person in profile and see him paddy them. You just see say when that group in there. That's not one simple way. If now pick up that person there in number and just trail them, and other sites them or pages them with potentially you they or send them to a friend because maybe you might not be in certain page and they will tell you what in that person it is they say on the other side. Okay. But this is not the age of disinformation and misinformation campaign. Until we see the support of the press people and we the people themselves collectively come together, and after we don't understand this in 5 years, then we know exactly waiting for do. We understand waiting at the sickness, and we don't understand the sickness. We understand them, the one they win at the symptom of the sickness. and then probably we try for get rid of them. It's a difficult task because you dey move one sickness and you dey bring another. And we always they set the bar low, which is unfortunate as well because it seems like this not the only, if I go say, which we have, that the one way two devil, they say two devil, they say pick which two devil, pick which one are the better devil. And the situation and the way Sierra Leoneans then kind of fend themselves. Okay. But we have to do what is right. Always as a people. We dey head towards a cliff. Let me wet my throat. We dey head towards a cliff. And this is not a hyperbole. This is real because, like I opened the program with reality dose that there's going to be violence, there's going to be death. I'm a realist, so I paint the picture as real as possible. The other day, we understand, say, Jules there, who is the vice president of the country, went to pay respect to the former president, and it's by Koroma. We don't know the outcome of that visit. And I've been in hope say there will be a press release, a publication from the office of the former president, so that it give people them an idea as to what this visit was about, which is necessary. And we Sierra Leoneans them, we for begin for the demand this. Because as election they begin for creeping, there are many deals being cut. I'm not accusing anyone of cutting a deal now, but these are possibilities that are deals being cut. And potentially this could be a deal. This could be a deal. And I'm not saying that it is because I have no evidence whatsoever for corroborate that statement they make. But at least if the vice president at this heightened time of tension and the approach of election, the vice president go visit you and the people have been with you, Mr. Ex-president, all this time, then probably the people are equally eager for Yeri. Now, waiting this visit be about to, we are concerned, that the vice president can visit you now for waiting so. And they're damn right, here for express concern because there's so much ongoing. It just come off from court case in which you have been asked for relinquished power, sideline. ASEAN as rightfully so, because there need to be a reform, not just the process and the people that became. Is it going to be free and fair? Are these people going to be able to deliver this much development that the people want, this much changes them that the people are looking for? Remember that the country is declining and it decay. Water no day, energy no day, electricity no day, energy no day. Corruption is rife. Police brutality look yonder. Fambulem. Keep that at the back of your mind. On the 1st of June, Mr. Abdul Fatoma of the CHRDI will be on the platform. And we'll not forget for join because lately he's been really critical and scathing. And these are the kind of people that we like. Not because they're just condemning government, but for a good reason. And at the job for do so, he's got a CSO or an NGO, either civil people's organization or how you call them, governmental organization or non-for-profit. Their names and they're interchangeable. So he's probably going to be here on the 1st of June. We investigate this visit of Koto Jule there to Anes by Koroma and see what this visit was about. So this week coming, we get a few monologues them. Supermed will be back, I believe, next week. He will continue with his program inside Salon today. But let we not forget that election they come and we're at a very critical stage now we country, at a crossroad now we country. Salon people them now they talk to. Please be wise. Please vote wisely. This is the message that we're trying to put out there. This is why we are going at great lengths or to great lengths for providing information which we believe is power, because this information is supposed to empower the people them. Remember, water no day, electricity no day, corruption is rife, police brutality look on the under. How do we change this? I know they say changing them by bringing a new government alone, but how do we change this? Because a new government can come and equally perform the same. But some change needs to take place. The business of every government is to ensure the well-being of its people. For the then and now media empire, I salute una and ask for take una leave for now. It's been a marvelous, marvelous program, I believe. And the message is out. Please, please share. And can I say goodbye, good night to with Fambulem. Bye for now.